My name is Lena Hartley, and I'm 29 years old. For most of my life, competence has been my anchor. I work in cybersecurity consulting. Long hours, complicated systems, clients who don't understand why their totally safe setups are basically paper doors in a hurricane. I like structure. I like versions, proofs, logs. There's a comfort in knowing the exact second something changed and why. For the last 18 months, I thought my relationship with Ryan Cooper belonged in that same category. Steady, mapped, predictable in a good way. The kind of relationship that felt like finally finding the right rhythm after years of noise. We'd moved into a modest 2-bedroom downtown 4 months ago. Nothing fancy, nothing too cramped. A place where I could imagine a future, or at least stability. Then came the message that cracked everything. It was a Tuesday afternoon, 2:15 p.m. I was in the middle of a client audit, half listening to a VP explain why their outdated firewall was probably fine. My phone buzzed. I glanced down, expecting something mundane. Ryan asking if we needed groceries, maybe sending a dumb meme. Instead, I saw, "Ryan, don't freak out. I lost your laptop. My ex borrowed it for a project, and now she can't find it." I read it once, twice, a third time, because the words refused to form coherent meaning. Ex borrowed? Lost? My chest tightened, but everything around me stayed strangely quiet, as if my body knew to go still so my brain could process the absurdity. When I finally responded, the message typed itself. Me. What do you mean your ex borrowed my laptop? But before he replied, shock grew roots. That laptop, my personal HP Spectre, wasn't just a device. It held 3 years of private files, tax documents, encrypted archives, wallet backups, family photos, client notes. Nothing illegal, nothing dramatic, just everything that mattered. Why would he give that away? When Ryan finally answered, it didn't help. Ryan. She needed one for a presentation. Mine was glitching. You weren't home. I'm sorry, babe. Babe. The casual softness of the word dropped into something that felt like a betrayal, made my stomach twist. I reread his message again. A detail snagged. When had he done this? I waited. A bubble appeared, vanished, returned. Ryan. Like 5 days ago. She said she'd bring it back Sunday, but now it's missing. She's panicking. I'm really sorry. 5 days. He'd given my laptop, my property, to his ex-girlfriend 5 days ago, and only now was telling me because she'd lost it. Not misplaced, not delayed, lost. A quiet, cold hum filled me from the inside. In cybersecurity, we call that hum a threat response. The part of your mind that begins mapping every possibility before your emotions can catch up. I finished the client meeting on autopilot. By the time I left the office early and got home, the apartment felt different. Same walls, same furniture, same mild smell of laundry detergent, but sharper. The silence pressed against me. Ryan wasn't home yet. He had a client dinner across town. I sat at the kitchen table and stared at the message thread. The refrigerator hummed, an annoying reminder that some things at least still worked the way they were supposed to. Why hadn't he asked me first? Why hadn't he told me sooner? And of all people, why her? I'd heard the name Marissa Hale before, Ryan's ex of 2 years. A woman who worked in marketing or advertising, something creative, he'd said vaguely, as though the specifics didn't matter. They'd broken up 8 months before Ryan and I met. He told me they'd ended amicably, no hard feelings, just different paths. I'd never met her, never had a reason to. I trusted him. Until today. I opened my tracking dashboard, a habit I'd developed early in my career. Prey installed on every device I owned. I entered my login, and there it was. Last ping, Saturday, 3:47 p.m. Location, a residential luxury complex 20 minutes away. The tension in my chest shifted, no longer sharp, clear. Marissa hadn't lost anything. I screenshot everything. Location, timestamp, device ID, then pulled up Street View. The building was sleek, modern, expensive. The kind of place someone with stable income and good credit lived. Not the kind of person who borrowed laptops from ex-boyfriends. Something was off, deeply off. I needed context, so I called the one person who would give me a straight answer. Officer Danielle Ruiz picked up on the second ring. We'd gone to college together before she joined Metro PD. She wasn't a detective, but she understood procedure better than anyone. Lena, what's up? I hesitated, then told her everything. Ryan giving my laptop away, the 5-day delay, the tracking ping, the silence from Marissa. She didn't interrupt. When I finished, there was a pause.
Okay, she said. First question, do you have proof it's your laptop? Serial number, receipt?
Yes.
And evidence of where it last pinged?
Yes.
And text showing you've asked for it back?
Working on that.
Her voice became crisp, procedural. Lena, that's theft if she's refusing to return it. Over $1,000? That's felony territory. Get everything in writing. Tell her clearly you want it back. If she ignores you or refuses, file a report.
What about Ryan?
You don't need his permission. It's your property. One more thing. Don't confront her in person. If she's hiding it, she won't suddenly cooperate. I thanked her and hung up.
The next step was clear. I needed documented proof of my request.
I found Marissa's number easily. Ryan had left his phone on the bathroom counter more than once, unlocked. I hadn't snooped. He just wasn't careful. Me. Hi, Marissa. This is Lena, Ryan's girlfriend. He says you borrowed my laptop. I need it returned by tomorrow. Please let me know when I can pick it up. No response. 1 hour, 2, 3. Nothing. Ryan got home around 6:30 p.m., tense and apologetic. When I asked him why he hadn't told me earlier, he shrugged like it was small. You weren't home that night, and she really needed it. I didn't think it was a big deal. It's my device, I said, my personal files. I know, and I'm sorry. Look, I'll pay for a new one if she can't find it. It's not about the money, Ryan. He looked confused, like he genuinely couldn't understand why this mattered so much. We ate in tight silence. He left early for bed. I stayed up staring at the tracking screenshot, the timestamp, the clean lines of the apartment building where my laptop had last been seen. At midnight, I made my decision. I was done waiting for people who were lying to me. I opened my folder of receipts, printed the serial number, attached the screenshots, and prepared my file. Tomorrow, I would file the report. And whatever happened after that, Ryan had chosen where he stood. Wednesday morning, my alarm went off at 7 a.m., but I was already awake. I'd slept in fragments, 20 minutes here, 10 there, my mind looping through the same questions. Why had he given it to her? Why hadn't he told me? Why was she silent now? When I opened my eyes, Ryan was already dressed, tying his tie in the dim light bleeding through the curtains. He caught my reflection in the mirror. Hey, he said cautiously. I talked to her again last night. She's stressed. She thinks she left it at her office or maybe a friend's place. She's looking. Did she text me back? I asked. He hesitated. That half second was all I needed. No, she's overwhelmed. I told her you were upset and she said she'd sort it out. So she had time to respond to him, but not to the person whose property she was holding. He came to sit on the edge of the bed. Lena, I know this is bad, and I know I messed up not asking you first, but can you please just give it a little more time before you do anything drastic? Like what? I asked, even though I already knew what he meant. Like calling the police or something. It was a favor gone wrong, not a crime. The word favor landed like a slap. You volunteered something that wasn't yours, I said quietly, and now it's been almost a week. That stopped being a favor days ago. His jaw clenched. I'll handle it, okay? I looked at him for a long moment, something inside me rearranging. You already did, I said. That's the problem. He left soon after, the front door closing with a soft finality that hung in the air. At 9 o'clock a.m., sitting at my desk at work, I opened the message thread with Marissa and typed again. Me. Marissa, this is my second request. I need my laptop returned. When and where can I pick it up today? I stared at the screen for a full minute before I hit send. 2 hours crawled by. I reviewed server logs, flagged suspicious patterns for a client, scheduled a future penetration test. My hands moved, my brain performed, but part of me was watching that little delivered status like it was a live feed. At 11:12 a.m., my phone finally buzzed. Marissa, I don't have it. That was it. No apology, no explanation, no follow-up. My stomach dropped, then hardened. Me, where did you last have it? The typing indicator flashed on, off, on, then disappeared. No answer. I read her 4 words again and felt something lock into place. I'd given her a chance. 2, actually. I stood, grabbed my folder, a neat stack of paper, purchase receipt, serial number, screenshots of my tracking dashboard with coordinates and timestamps, and told my manager I needed to step out over lunch for something personal. The Metro PD station on 12th was busy, but not chaotic. People sat in plastic chairs, faces bored or anxious or resigned. The fluorescent lights buzzed, washing everything in a flat haze. At the front desk, I gave my name and said, I need to file a report for stolen property. They handed me a clipboard and a form. The questions were clinical: description of item, approximate value, last seen, potential suspects. I wrote carefully, my handwriting steadier than my pulse. When I turned the form in, the officer at the desk flipped through it, then nodded. Have a seat, someone will call you. 10 minutes later, a woman in a navy button-down and badge clipped at her hip appeared. Her hair was pulled back in a sleek braid, her expression alert but not unfriendly. Lena Hartley, she said. I'm Officer Mills. Come on back. In a small interview room with a metal table and 2 chairs, she opened a blank report on her computer. Okay, she said, fingers poised above the keyboard. Tell me what happened. Start from when you last physically had the laptop. I walked her through everything. Last time I'd used it, when Ryan said he gave it to Marissa, the delayed confession, the tracking app, the unanswered texts, the I don't have it message.
And you didn't give anyone permission to loan it out? She asked.
No, never.
And you made clear in writing that you wanted it back?
Yes. I slid my phone over so she could read the thread with Marissa.
She scrolled slowly, lips thinning. Okay. And the device value?
I told her the purchase price.
She typed for a while, then said, almost casually, just so you're aware, in this state, theft of property valued over $950 is classified as grand theft. That's a felony. It doesn't mean that's what the DA will charge, but it's on the table. I felt my heartbeat in my ears. I just want my laptop back, I said. I don't care about making an example out of anyone. I just need my things.
That's understandable, she said. But once you file, the case belongs to the state. We follow evidence and procedure, not feelings. You're the victim here. We'll treat you like one. She took my receipt, photocopied it, had me write the serial number again on the form. I gave her the screenshots with the location. She attached them to the report.
Do you have any reason to believe she sold it? She asked.
I don't know, I said. She lives in a nice building. It's not like she was desperate for cash. But she's lied at least once, saying she doesn't have it when my tracker says it's been at the same place for days. Officer Mills nodded. We'll run the address. If it's registered to her or we can tie her to it, we'll go make contact. We'll also see if she has any prior history. That can affect how aggressively this is pursued. The phrase prior history lodged in my brain like a hook.
What if she says it's just a misunderstanding? I asked. That she forgot, or she meant to bring it back?
Then we ask why it hasn't moved locations in days, she said dryly. Look, sometimes people panic and double down instead of doing the right thing. That's their choice. Yours is to protect your property. You've done everything by the book. She printed the report, had me read it, sign at the bottom.
Keep your phone nearby, she said as she walked me back toward the lobby. We may need more information. And if she contacts you, don't threaten her, don't negotiate. Just document everything and let us handle it.
I stepped out into sunlight that felt too bright. It wasn't even 1:00 p.m., but I felt like the day had doubled in length. On the drive back to work, my mind kept replaying Ryan's face that morning. The way he'd said don't do anything drastic like protecting my belongings was some wild overreaction. I hadn't texted him from the station. I didn't tell him I'd filed the report. Part of me knew he would see it as a betrayal. The twisted irony of that made my chest ache. When I got home that evening, the apartment smelled like takeout. Ryan had spread Chinese containers across the counter like peace offerings. He turned, hopeful. Hey, he said. I got your favorite. Orange tofu, extra broccoli. Thought we could just decompress tonight. I hung my keys slowly. Did she text you? I asked. His expression flickered. She's still looking. She swears she doesn't know where it is. I told you. She texted me, I said. He froze. What did she say? She said she doesn't have it. He ran a hand through his hair, already annoyed. Okay, so maybe she left it somewhere. Mistakes happen. She probably feels terrible. Can you not make this worse by assuming the worst about her? I stared at him. You do realize you're asking me to assume the best of a woman I've never met who's hiding behind you, instead of trusting my own eyes and my own data. He opened his mouth, then closed it. I'm just saying, he tried again. She's not some criminal, Lena. She's a good person who screwed up. You're very sure about that, I said softly. Funny how you're willing to extend that certainty to her, but not to me. He dropped his gaze, fiddled with a chopstick wrapper. You're blowing this out of proportion. I almost laughed. Grand theft, felony territory, prior history. Maybe, I said. We'll see. He frowned. What does that mean? I thought about telling him right then that a report was already filed, that his ex name was now attached to an incident number in the Metro PD system. I thought about the way his shoulders would stiffen, his eyes would harden, who he'd side with. I swallowed the urge. It means, I said carefully, I'm done pretending it's not serious. He scoffed. It's a laptop. No, I said, it's a line, and you already crossed it. His jaw tightened. You know what? Eat if you want. I'm not doing this right now. He grabbed his keys and walked out. The door slammed. The picture frame nearest the hallway shuddered, tilting slightly askew. I stood in the suddenly quiet kitchen, surrounded by containers of food that smelled like someone else's life. On the counter, my phone buzzed. A notification from the email confirmation of my police report, assigning it a case number. I stared at that number for a long time. I thought I was just filing paperwork. I didn't know then that it was the first crack in the life I thought I had. Thursday morning felt deceptively normal. The sky was a clean, winter blue. Cars hummed outside my window. Someone in the building across from ours was overwatering their balcony plants again. If you looked through the glass, you might have thought this was a day that would pass without consequence. But inside my phone, inside the Metro PD system, everything was already shifting. At 10:22 a.m., as I was reviewing a client's endpoint security logs, my phone rang. Unknown number, local area code. I answered immediately. Hello? Ms. Hartley? This is Officer Ruiz with Metro PD. I'm following up on your stolen property report. A breath of something like relief escaped me. Hi, Danielle. We attempted contact at the address your tracking showed. The apartment is leased to a Marissa Hale. Your description matches. She wasn't home when officers arrived, but we left a notice. I didn't speak. I knew enough to wait. There's more, Officer Ruiz continued. When we ran her name, we found an active warrant in the system. I sat up straighter. A warrant? Failure to appear, she said. Related to a 2-year-old theft case. Retail theft, small, but still a charge. She skipped court. The warrant's been dormant, but now that officers made contact through your case, it's active again. My throat tightened. So what happens now? We flagged her as a priority if she's stopped or contacts law enforcement. Separate from your case, but I thought you should know the kind of person you're dealing with. We're still working to recover your laptop. Thank you, I said quietly. Please keep me updated. We will. Talk soon. When the call ended, I sat completely still. Marissa had an active warrant for theft. Ryan had insisted she wasn't some criminal. The universe had responded with paperwork. I stared at my computer screen, lines of code, logs, timestamps, but none of it seemed to matter. I felt hollow and hot at the same time. Around lunch, I went home. I didn't even know why, just that my apartment suddenly felt like the place I needed to be to absorb all this. Ryan walked in 30 minutes later, cheeks flushed, breath short, like he'd run instead of driven. His phone was in his hand. Lena, he said, voice tight, I just got a call from Marissa. I set my mug down carefully. And? The police were at her apartment. They left a notice. She is freaking out. She said they're treating her like a criminal. Lena, did you file a police report? His eyes were wild, a mix of panic and accusation. I held his gaze. Yes. He stared at me like I had confessed to arson. Oh my God, he said, you actually did it. You gave my laptop away, without permission, and she refused to give it back. She didn't refuse, he shouted. She lost it. Then why did my tracker show it sitting in her building for days? I asked. Why did she tell me she doesn't have it, but refused to explain where she last had it? He paced, hands in his hair. This is insane, he said. You're blowing this up. You didn't have to drag the cops into this. Do you know what they're going to do to her? She could lose her job, her reputation. I went still. You're worried about her reputation, I said slowly, but not my privacy, not my property, not the fact that she lied to me. She didn't lie. She made a mistake. And you made a choice, I said. You chose to trust her over me. He stopped pacing. This isn't about trust. Yes, I said quietly. It is. His jaw worked like he was chewing on anger. You're being cruel, he said finally. Vindictive. You could have waited. You could have talked to me. You didn't have to go nuclear over a laptop. It's my laptop, I said, and she's had it almost a week. She's been looking. No, I said. She's been hiding. He blinked, hard, like he couldn't process the words. You don't know that, he said. I know enough. He stared at me with something like disbelief, but beneath that, simmering, was anger. Not at Marissa, not at the situation, but at me. She called me crying, he said. She said the police are going to destroy her life. And for what? A stupid misunderstanding? I felt something sharp twist deep inside my ribs. You're awfully invested in protecting your ex, I said. More than you've ever been in protecting me. His expression flickered. Guilt, shock, then rage. He grabbed his keys. I'm going to go talk to her. Of course you are, I said. He froze. It's not like that, he snapped. It's exactly like that. He didn't defend himself. He didn't deny it. He didn't even try. He just left. The door slammed so violently the wall shook. I sat alone on the couch, hands trembling, breath unsteady. It was the clearest I'd seen things in days. He didn't care that my privacy had been violated. He didn't care that my property had been stolen. He didn't care that I had been lied to. He cared that she was upset. The next morning, Friday, I went to work early. Tried to lose myself in tasks. Tried to build a firewall between myself and everything unraveling in my life. At 3:10 p.m., my phone rang again. Unknown number. Metro PD. My heart dropped. Ms. Hartley? Yes? This is Officer Chen with Metro PD. I'm calling regarding the suspect from your stolen property report. The word suspect was jarring. We located Ms. Hale this morning, Officer Chen continued. She was stopped for a broken taillight. When the officer ran her name, the outstanding warrant came up. She was taken into custody. I exhaled shakily. Is she? What happens next? She'll be processed at county. She'll have a bail hearing. As for your case, the warrant is separate. We're continuing to search for your laptop. Thank you, I whispered. We'll update you as soon as we have more. When he hung up, I sat at my desk, staring at the glowing monitor. Marissa had been arrested. Ryan was likely with her, or on his way. The threads of my life were pulling apart, one by one. That night, Ryan didn't come home. He didn't text, didn't call, didn't leave a note. Saturday morning, I found his toothbrush gone, his drawer empty, half of his clothes missing. Around noon, he finally walked in, face wrung out with fury and exhaustion. You did this, he said, voice trembling. They arrested her because of your stupid report. No, I said calmly. They arrested her because she had an active warrant. But they wouldn't have found her if you hadn't involved them. She wouldn't have been involved at all if she'd returned what she took. He raked a shaking hand through his hair. She's going to lose her job. She can't afford bail. This is destroying her life. Her life, I said, is the result of her choices. Not mine, not yours. He looked at me with something unrecognizable. I can't do this, he said. I can't be with someone this cold. The irony was cutting. Then he grabbed a duffel bag, shoved in more clothes, and left again. When the door clicked shut, I didn't chase him. The apartment was silent. The refrigerator hummed. Something inside me settled. I had already lost him long before the police ever showed up at her door. Sunday passed quietly. Quiet in the way grief is quiet. Not peaceful, but heavy. A pressure in the air, in the walls, in your chest. The kind of quiet that makes you aware of every small sound. The compressor kicking on in the fridge, the ticking of the hallway clock, the subtle groan of the building settling. Ryan didn't come home that night. His absence wasn't a shock anymore. The shape of our apartment had already adjusted around it. Monday morning, I worked from home. I told my manager I needed to stay remote for a few days, and she didn't ask why. Maybe she didn't need to. Maybe the tremor in my voice gave everything away. Around 11:40 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. Metro PD. My heart thudded once. Solid, final. Hello? Ms. Hartley? Officer Chen here. We have an update regarding your stolen property. I stood slowly, bracing a hand on the back of a chair. We executed a search warrant this morning at the residence of Ms. Hale. A beat, a breath. And we located your laptop. The air around me sharpened. Where? I whispered. In her bedroom closet, he said. Inside a backpack. It was covered by a stack of clothing and several pairs of shoes. Hidden intentionally. My hand tightened around the phone. So she had hidden it. For days. While telling Ryan she was looking everywhere, while telling me she didn't have it, while letting him defend her, while letting him tear our relationship apart, trying to shield her. Hidden, in her closet. Is it intact? I asked, barely able to form the words. Yes. Looks like she attempted a factory reset, but was blocked by a BIOS password. I closed my eyes for a second. Relief and fury collided inside my chest. We photographed everything, documented the scene, seized the device for processing. You'll get it back within a few days, after evidence logging. I swallowed. And the charges? The DA is reviewing felony theft, property over $950, plus intent to conceal. She still has the older warrant as well. I'll keep you updated. Thank you, I said, though my voice came out thin, unstable. We're glad we could recover it, he said gently. Talk soon. When the call ended, I stood motionless in the center of the kitchen. She had hidden it. Not forgotten it, not misplaced it, not loaned it to a friend, not panicked and acted irrationally. Hidden it. On purpose. My hands were shaking when I texted Ryan. Me. The police found my laptop. It was hidden in her closet, in a backpack under clothes. The typing indicator popped up instantly. Ryan. What? That doesn't make sense. Me. It was hidden, not lost. They documented everything. Long pause. 3 dots. Disappear. Return. Disappear. Then finally, Ryan. There has to be another explanation. Why would she do that? I exhaled a laugh that wasn't a laugh. Me. I don't know, Ryan. Maybe ask her. Another long silence. Then,
Ryan, I need to talk to her myself.
me. She's in jail, remember? This time the dots never returned. I set my phone down and pressed both palms to the counter, letting the cold granite ground me. The apartment was too quiet, but I didn't turn on music. The silence felt honest for the first time in days. By late afternoon, I still hadn't heard back from him.
By evening, still nothing.
By night, the absence of messages was itself an answer. I made myself dinner, not because I was hungry, but because doing something methodical felt like stitching myself back together. Boil water, measure pasta, slice vegetables, sauté, season, plate. Small tasks, things I could control. At 9:17 p.m., my phone buzzed. I froze. A message from a number I didn't recognize. Michelle. Hey, Lena, this is Michelle. I'm friends with Ryan and Marissa. Ryan asked me to grab some of his stuff. He said he'll contact you later. I stared at the screen, heart thudding. So he couldn't even come himself. He sent her. I typed slowly.
Me. His things are by the door. Tell him there's no need to contact me. She responded immediately.
Michelle, he's really upset. He said the cops are blowing everything up and you could have handled it differently.
Handled it differently. I should have been furious.
Instead, I felt nothing, or something close to it, the numb clarity that comes after every emotional bridge has already burned. Me. Please just pick up the items. I'm done with this conversation.
Michelle didn't reply again.
15 minutes later, I heard the knock. A woman's voice murmured a quick thanks through the door before footsteps retreated down the hall. I didn't open it. I didn't care. Tuesday morning, I woke before dawn. The apartment felt wider somehow, like a space that had finally exhaled. I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and stared at the empty chair across from me. The one Ryan used to occupy, scrolling through his phone, saying vague things like, "We should try that new place downtown," or, "I'll fix the towel bar later." I waited for sadness to rise. It didn't. What rose instead was a quiet certainty. He had chosen the other side, not accidentally, not out of confusion, but deliberately. He had stood between me and the truth and called me cruel for refusing to be lied to. At noon, Officer Chen called again. "Good news," he said. "The laptop has been logged as evidence and cleared. You can pick it up any time tomorrow." Relief loosened some tight knot inside me. "Thank you," I said, and I meant it deeply. "We'll keep you informed about the charging decision," he added. "It looks straightforward." "Straightforward," I repeated softly. After the call, I sat for a long time in silence, processing, untangling. Then I did something that surprised even me. I opened my laptop, the work one, and searched for apartments closer to my office. Studios, mostly. Small, but efficient. Clean lines, good lighting, decent security access. A fresh start didn't need to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes it just needed to be yours. And for the first time in 2 weeks, the future didn't feel like a threat. It felt like a hallway with a door at the end. And I finally knew how to walk toward it. Wednesday morning, I woke before my alarm. Not from anxiety this time, not from looping questions, or from checking my phone 100 times to see if Ryan had finally said something real. I woke from a stillness I hadn't felt in weeks, the kind that follows a storm, when everything is stripped down to what's honest and undeniable. By noon, I was standing inside the evidence release office at Metro PD. The clerk, a man with a buzz cut and a badge clipped to his shirt pocket, handed me a form to sign. Then he disappeared into a back room lined with numbered shelves. When he returned, he set my laptop on the counter. My breath caught. There it was. Same brushed metal finish, same faint scratch on the lid from when I dropped my keys on it one morning. For a moment, I didn't move. I just looked at it, this object that had somehow become the fault line of my entire life. "You'll want to change all your passwords," the clerk said, not unkindly, "just in case." "I already planned on it," I said. He nodded and handed me the case file envelope. "If the DA adds additional charges, you'll be notified." "Thank you," I said softly, "for everything." Back in my car, I placed the laptop gently in the passenger seat as if it were something fragile. Or maybe because I finally remembered that I was. When I got home, I set it on the kitchen table and opened it. BIOS password held, encrypted folders untouched, files exactly as I left them. It was almost anticlimactic, the way something returns to you after you've braced yourself for the worst. Then my phone buzzed. Ryan. The name lit up on my screen like a warning. I stared for a long moment before opening the message. Ryan. They charged her. Misdemeanor theft. She's on probation for 2 years. She owes over $2,000 in fines and restitution. I exhaled slowly, calmly. Me, I see. Seconds later. Ryan. Do you realize what you did to her? Her job let her go. She's scrambling to find something. Her life is wrecked. Are you happy now? There it was, the anger he'd been storing, sharp and unchecked. I typed with steady fingers. Me. I filed a report for my stolen property. That is all I did. Ryan. She didn't steal it. She made a mistake. Me. She hid it in her closet. That's not a mistake. That's intent. He didn't respond for a full minute. Then, Ryan. I can't believe I ever thought you were a compassionate person. A low, cold grief passed through me. Not because his words hurt, but because they revealed exactly who he had become to me. Or maybe who he had been all along. Me. I can't believe you gave my laptop to your ex without asking, lied to me by omission for days, defended her lies, and then blamed me for protecting my own property. 3 dots appeared, stopped, appeared again, stopped again. Then, Ryan. She needed help. She still does. She's going through hell. Me. Actions have consequences. That applies to everyone. This time, the silence stretched long, more than 10 minutes. Then a final message. Ryan. I'm moving the rest of my things out this weekend. Michelle said she'd help. Don't be here. I felt the last thread between us snap, cleanly, quietly, almost mercifully. Me. Understood. He didn't text again. Friday afternoon, Michelle picked up the last of his boxes. I didn't open the door. She didn't knock. She used the spare key Ryan had left earlier in the week. When she left, she slid it under the door in a silent gesture of finality. The moment the lock clicked, the apartment felt different. Lighter, somehow. As though someone had opened a window I didn't know was sealed shut. I sat on the floor, leaning against the couch, laptop open in front of me. I changed every password I owned, reset every authentication key, ran diagnostics, updated all firmware, methodical, steady, mine. When I finished, I closed the lid and let my head fall back. It was over. Not cleanly, not kindly, but completely. A week later, mutual friends confirmed what I had already sensed in the cold spaces between Ryan's messages. He and Marissa were talking again, meeting, spending time, navigating her probation paperwork together. It didn't sting the way I expected. In some strange way, it made sense. I had been fighting for truth. He had been fighting for her. 2 different wars, 2 different loyalties, 2 different versions of love. I wasn't part of his anymore. I didn't want to be. That same night, I found a quiet studio apartment 10 minutes from my office. Floor-to-ceiling windows, key card entry, a kitchen counter just wide enough for someone who made meals in single portions. I toured it the next morning. Signed the lease that afternoon. When I walked in with my first box, just a stack of clothes and a potted plant that had somehow survived everything, the space felt blank and open and waiting. A place with no echoes, no lies, no borrowed anything. Just mine. On my first night there, I sat cross-legged on the floor, eating takeout Thai from a cardboard container. The city lights flickered through the glass, painting gold strips on the bare wood. For the first time in weeks, I let myself breathe fully. No guilt, no doubt, no weight that wasn't mine. Just relief, quiet and true. I didn't ruin their lives. I didn't create their decisions. I didn't make their lies. I simply refused to carry the cost of their choices. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had my life back.